Welcome to the OOV Daily Reflection for Monday, January the 17th. The Gospel reading for today's daily Mass comes to us from the second chapter of St. Mark's Gospel. It reads, "The disciples of John and of the Pharisees were accustomed to fasting. People came to Jesus and objected, 'Why do the disciples of John and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?' Jesus answered them, 'Can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast on that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunken cloth on an old cloak. If he does, its fullness pulls away, the new from the old, and the tear gets worse. Likewise, no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the skins are ruined.'" The images that Jesus uses in today's Gospel are his attempt to help the disciples of St. John and the disciples of the Pharisees understand that something new is happening. And though it's true that Jesus is the long-awaited Messiah that was the hope of the people of Israel, no one knew exactly what it meant when the Messiah would come and when the Messiah would appear. So the prophets foretold what signs would accompany the Messiah, but it would be difficult for any of us to say without a doubt that we would have acted any differently than St. John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees. Because again, they awaited the Messiah, but now that he's here, what does this mean? How should he act? What should we do in response to the Messiah? And we also know from the Gospels that Jesus' own disciples, those who are closest to him, did not fully understand the implications of Jesus being the Messiah. So there should probably be no expectations for those who are outside the influence of Jesus to fully understand who he was and what his presence meant for the people of Israel and for the entire world. As I said earlier, something new was happening, and Jesus was trying to articulate this reality to the disciples of St. John the Baptist and the disciples of the Pharisees. But I should say that probably on a more broader level, Jesus is trying to convey that he is doing something new, but also he's challenging those he's speaking to acknowledge that sometimes they have to change their ideas and expectations. And I think the same is true for us. We sometimes have to change our ideas and our expectations so that we can live fully our faith and model Jesus Christ in our lives. And thus the images, I think, help us to understand this. Just as someone cannot put a piece of unshrunken cloth on an old cloak without causing a problem, or someone can't pour new wine into old wineskins without causing a problem, we sometimes have to change our old ideas, our old habits, our old way of approaching things, or we're not going to fully understand what we're called to do in relationship to Jesus Christ. We literally have to change, do something new in order to be more faithful disciples. So if the disciples of St. John and the disciples of the Pharisees freely accepted Jesus Christ, they would truly be able to find new freedom, new strength, new hope, and could rejoice that Christ was in their presence. But again, they have to let go of the past. St. John the Baptist prepared the way for Jesus Christ, and now his role was complete. Again, the Messiah has arrived. Something new has begun. So as we move into this new year, Maybe we need to just take a few moments in our own personal prayer to look at our lives and ask ourselves, are we stuck in old ways? Are there things that we're doing in our lives that keep us from living out our faith more fully? Are we like St. John's disciples or the disciples of the Pharisees in today's reading who are just stuck? We think we know, but maybe we need to put on something new. Old habits are holding us back. So again, prayer about what needs to happen in our lives in order to draw closer to Christ and allow His love and mercy to truly change how we live and move our have our being in this world could help us. Because with Christ, something new has happened. And again, if we're stuck in any old ways or any sinful habits, we need to let these realities go. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.